Yes, every day is indeed great, but today is spectacular because today we review Persona 4 Golden on the PC.
I'm scared.
Since 2012, the home of Persona 4 Golden has been the PlayStation Vita, a lovely little handheld console that I have been a huge advocate of since its launch. I still adore it to this day because it's home to an amazing collection of JRPGs. I still to this day say if you can enjoy JRPGs, the PlayStation Vita is a console that you should give your attention to. The cream of the crop when it came to those JRPGs, for me at least, was Persona 4 Golden, a game that I even said, hey, if you buy the console just for this game, it will be worth your purchase because it is that good, it is that unique, and it is that worth your time. However, Atlus did everyone a favor and ported Persona 4 Golden off of the Vita and into Steam, where now you can get the game for $20. They did this over the weekend, so I've been, as you can see, streaming Persona 4 Golden since it has launched, and it has been an amazing time. There have been incredible vibes on the stream, and we do hope that you guys join us. We're streaming pretty much every night at this rate because the game is that good. Persona 4 Golden drops on Saturday, the same day that I, as well as my friends Never, Cool Dude, as well as editor Dustin, dropped our humongous Persona-related project called The Future of Persona, breaking down Persona 5 Royal, discussing the future of Persona 4 and 3 remake/ports, as well as the original 2, and even the possibility of Persona-related spin-offs. It is a humongous collaborative project, and we'd be honored if you gave it some of your time. Anyway, as someone who's beat the game 3 times now, I thought I'd be a good candidate to make a solid, informative 2020 review. What you need to know going into Persona 4 Golden. Is this a game you should pick up? Is this a good starting point for the series? All of that will be answered today, so let's get started. I'm going to answer the question I get the most when I'm streaming this game. Is Persona 4 Golden a good place for beginners? The answer is yes. Much like, say, the Final Fantasy series, Persona entries are standalone. They don't tie into each other in any way, shape, or form. They are all individual experiences. So if you only played 5, but not 3 or 4, you can go back and still enjoy 4. Or if you've never played Persona before, any point is a good starting point. I do think 5 Royal is a lot more modernized, but Golden is still in a great state as I've gone back to it and continued playing it, even though I just finished, I'd say a couple weeks ago at this point in time, my Persona 5 Royal playthrough. For those who are uninformed, Persona is a series where you pretty much live a double life. You live your daily life where you go to work, you go to school, you hang out with friends, and all of these tie into gameplay elements in the dungeon aspect of the game, where in your, I put this in quotes, nightlife, you are a Persona wielder. So you go inside, in the case of Persona 4, TVs, where there have been mysterious murders happening, and now you and a bunch of other high schoolers are catching on to what's happening with these murders, and this TV world is connected in some way, shape, or form, but you're the only people who are able to access it. So as they continue to enter the TV world and attempt to save people, the mystery begins to unravel, and it's a very compelling tale. But what really drives this entire plot is Persona 4's incredible cast of characters. This is why I love this game so much. There is a true chemistry between each of the team members throughout Persona 4 Golden that you will undoubtedly become connected to, and by the end of the game, you'll probably be tearing up a little bit. Even the strongest people out there will have their heart break a little bit because the cast in this game is so easy to love. It's one of the funniest games I've played. It's one of the cheeriest, but it's also one of the most emotional games I've played. Persona 4 Golden makes you feel everything, and it's all driven by its plot. Now, there are some elements of the plot that maybe haven't aged the best, like everyone facing their shadows kind of ending up the same way. It becomes a little bit predictable narratively. Fortunately, the big moments don't hinge on those people's awakening, because everyone who's playing the game is going to wonder, why didn't it go something like this?
I am the shadow, the true self.
Yeah, you're me.
What? But we're supposed to have a boss fight.
What can I say? We all have an ugly side, right? I accept you as you are.
Okay.
Or you can just go ahead and do this bang, boom, goodbye. While the Awakenings, I don't think have aged that well, it doesn't really dilute the plot whatsoever between big pivotal moments in the story, like plot twists, events where the cast goes completely away from the plot to just enjoy themselves, and it's completely separate from these heavy murder mysteries that are going on. The game has an excellent contrast. It's one of the strongest parts of the narrative, because if you're constantly beating over your head that these teenagers are trying to solve murder mysteries, it can get a little depressing. So fortunately, the events throughout the game, like social links as well as school trips and so on, really lighten the atmosphere. Another aspect that hasn't aged that well is the narrative pacing in the beginning. Everything that happens in the tutorial section is necessary and does build the plot, but it's I would say like 4-hour tutorial technically, because you really don't get let off the leash until then, where you can say, I'm going to hang out with friends, or I'm going to go work a job, or I'm going to join some clubs. They really don't let you go for a while. And like I said, it's to properly set up the narrative. And then in the scheme of things, you spend the next like 80 hours doing whatever you want. But those first 4 hours can feel slow. If you are new to Persona, just stick with it. Your patience will be rewarded. But I do understand, even my first playthrough, I was like, man, what a drag. What was everyone talking about? But I stuck with it. And look, top 3 game of all time for me. So just be patient. It will be rewarded. Now, I mentioned how you're living a double life, right? You have your daily life, you have your night life. How do those two combine? Well, during your daily life, you're going to be spending a lot of your time doing social links. This is how you build relationships with characters. And for those who are new to Persona, pretty much this is you experiencing their character arc. There's usually a respective character arc for the main story, and then there's a separate arc that sort of interweaves into the main story a little bit, but it's more so standalone. So as you spend time with them, you learn more about that character and you become connected with them. And it really helps drive home how much you care about these people, because you are actually spending not only in-game time, but your time hanging out with them, helping them solve their problem. And so let's say I'm hanging out with Yosuke, who's personally my favorite character in the entire game. I adore this man. Let's say I'm hanging out with him, right? It's worthwhile because you're not just getting an emotional connection. There are gameplay buffs, like now Yosuke can wake up a downed ally. Now Yosuke can take a fatal attack for the MC to make sure that he can stay up. This type of stuff becomes very relevant because now you're not only spending time connecting yourself with the character, but it helps you in the gameplay. It's one of Persona's strongest aspects. It doesn't forget that, hey, this is a game you want to play, and you may not get super invested in the characters, but it rewards your time being spent with them. There's also social stats you have to balance out, which I think is the best part of the game, because between choosing who do you hang out with, how do you manage your social stats, trying to max all of them out, there's a semblance of choice and consequence that role-playing game fans can really get behind with this game, because if you're new, you're probably not going to see everything this game has to offer in your first playthrough unless A, you're a genius, or B, you use a guide that has a day-by-day schedule to tell you what to do when. These social stats will help you in also social links. Sometimes social links get walled off because maybe your understanding isn't high enough, your expression isn't high enough, your knowledge isn't high enough, so they become intertwined and everything feeds off one another. So you can increase these by working jobs, maybe making envelopes so you're getting your diligence up, or reading a book about history so now your knowledge goes up. Like I said, everything feeds off each other, and yeah, you're living a daily life, and that may not sound like the most fun thing. Oh, it's just a sim, but there's something about it, and I think it's just because it does connect to the dungeon gameplay. So let's talk about that. First and foremost, beginner's tip. If you are new to Persona 4 Golden and you are playing it on the PC, you are lucky because you don't have to get to New Game Plus to access this wonderful feature on the Vita, which is bonus money and bonus XP. When you start up the game, go to set your difficulty and change the XP and money to more. You will get a ton of money, you'll get a ton of XP. It removes the grind from Persona 4 Golden, and especially in the early game, Persona 4 Golden will crunch you. It will kick your ever-loving butt, and that was even with the XP bonus involved. And even if you're watching this video and you've been playing without it, it's okay. There's no difficulty trophy / achievements. There's no ego to it. It's a Persona game. just turn it on, make it more enjoyable for yourself, because the higher your level is, you have access to more personas that you can fuse inside the Velvet Room. You also get more money, so now you can kit out your characters. You can also buy personas from the compendium to now fuse into other combinations. It opens up the game a lot more and plays like it should be played. It's an option, and yes, you could avoid it, but I really think you'd be doing yourself a disservice. Now, in the gameplay, you're going to be going into, as I said, the TV world and into dungeons. You'll be looking for people who are tied to this murder mystery, and I really don't want to say more than that, but Persona 4 Golden is indeed a turn-taking RPG where you target enemies' weaknesses, and upon striking a weakness, let's say someone's weak to lightning, you hit them with a lightning attack, they'll go down and you'll get a one more, and then you can attack again. And then once they're all down, a all-out attack will ensue, which does a ton of bonus damage and is visually stimulating. Now, I will say, after coming off of Persona 5 Royal, this game really needs something like the baton pass mechanic, but I almost think it would be too easy if you did have it. It was structured around not having that, so they'd sort of have to rework the entire combat system. But I gotta say, it is sorely missed here. For those who are unaware, baton passing in Persona 5 Royal is when you target that weakness, you can then pass your turn to someone else. And let's say I don't have a fire skill, but my teammate does. I can pass the baton to them, and then they will use their fire skill and take down a separate enemy. So you can really have that team chemistry while targeting everyone's weaknesses, and it makes dungeons, or in the case of Persona 5, palaces, much, much easier. Now, you will be able to return to these dungeons, which is great because you can take on one of the game's many requests. These are Persona 4 Golden's side quests, and they give you a lot of bonus loot. I'm going to be real with you guys. They're not great. They're not narratively compelling. They're very much like the requests that we saw in Persona 5 as well as Persona 5 Royal, where you can go inside Mementos and do these mini requests that give you more items, more money. It's up to you if you want to do them. I don't think they drag the game down negatively because they are entirely optional. You don't lose out much on not doing them. But I gotta say that I just wish in some way, shape, or form they could improve the side quests in Persona as a whole, because it's desperately needed. The music. The music in Persona is one of its most defining features. People, even who don't play Persona, listen to Persona music, and for all the right reasons. These soundtracks are just incredible. I can't say enough good things about it. And look, man, Persona 4's soundtrack is one of my favorites of all time. It's a very poppy feeling, like a funky feeling to it, much different from the jazz nature that Persona 5 has. But I really think 4's soundtrack is just an absolute delight. Now, I did notice a couple of new Persona fans coming into my stream and saying that they felt that the music got a little repetitive. And I do understand that bit of criticism. For me, it's so good that I was always tapping my foot to it. And like I said, this is now my 4th playthrough. So I feel that really does speak to how amazing it is. But still, music taste is always subjective, and they do play a couple of tracks a lot. There is very much a track for every theme. This is the mysterious theme. This is the investigation theme. This is the happy-go-lucky theme. So you're gonna feel a bit of repetition there if you're not really used to what Persona games are. But I do think as time goes on, you'll recognize that the Persona soundtrack's also pretty iconic, and there's a reason they structure it the way they do, and it'll be stuck in your head. I can almost guarantee it. As for the PC port, how does it function? How does it run? Understandably, this is just a remaster of a 2008 game, so it should run with no problem. But I still want to make sure I cover it. I've had no issues, but I have read online some people are having trouble with the game. Some are having crashes with the game. Some are saying that it's skipping every now and then. The worst I've had on my port, and this does happen on the Vita version as well, is when you go to start up an all-out attack and it pulls out the camera, there's a hitch. And it happens pretty much every time, but that's the only time, at least for me, that the game does slow down. Otherwise, playing Persona 4 Golden in a smooth 60 FPS is incredible. And I really hope that Atlus does consider porting this off of PC now and onto PS4, maybe Xbox, as well as the Nintendo Switch. I think it would sell incredibly well. We can go ahead and look right now at the PC sales for Persona 4 Golden. After launching on Saturday, it's still at number 1. People love Persona, rightfully so, and I'm sure Atlus is not stupid. They're probably going to sporadically release Persona 3, maybe the other older Persona games, as well as Persona 5 on PC. They're sitting on a ton of cash, and they're going to slowly pull this trigger now that they know so many people were excited about 4 Golden. I imagine it's only a matter of time before it makes its way to PS4, but for now, on PC, it runs fine for me. A couple of hitches in combat when it comes to all-out attack, but other than that, I can't say I have any complaints. I'm actually surprised how well it runs and how it doesn't need a patch for me. But I know some have been having trouble. So that's just my experience that I can deliver to you all. All in all, ladies and gentlemen, I was a little nervous going back to Persona 4 Golden after spending months working on a Persona 5 Royal project because that game inspired me that much. I was a little nervous that maybe it had diluted some of my love for Golden, but going back to it, it just remains the same, man. I have such a strong love for this title. It is still a top 3 of all time for me. I still recommend it so much. $20. It is about a 80 to 90 hour game. This is a steal. It's a good safe purchase too. If you're a little hesitant on Persona and you have some extra money lying around, it's a little easier to say, hey, I'm gonna buy 4 Golden for 20 bucks on PC, see how it works, instead of, I don't know, something like $60, or I think it's on sale now for around $45. Even then, that's double the price. Not a lot of people have money for that. Gaming is a luxury after all. So I understand that. And I would say Persona 4 Golden right now is a perfect starting point. It's 20 bucks. You can give it a shot, see if you like it, and you're not going to be feeling a gigantic hole in your wallet if you end up not enjoying it. But I really do think if you stick with it, you will like it. Anyway, that'll do it for me, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all enjoyed and found this Persona 4 Golden review informative. Once again, please do check out the future of Persona on my channel. I have it linked down below. It is the largest project we've dropped on this channel, and it's all about the game that we've been talking about today, along with Persona 3 and Persona 5 Royal. So hopefully you take something away from this video and you do check out that one, which is linked down below once more, and I'll talk with all of you soon. Big thank you to all of the patrons who just continue to pour it on with that support. Appreciate y'all, and I'll talk with you soon. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.